Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today we are pulling back the curtain on one of the absolutely most fascinating intersections of physics, technology, and art. We're exploring the ultimate guide to holograms, pulling directly from an incredibly comprehensive breakdown by Ferris Solution. Now I want you to forget all the sci-fi movie tropes for just a minute. What we're actually going to look at today is the awe-inspiring, literal physical reality of capturing light in 3 dimensions. Trust me, it's a wild ride, so get ready for some serious discovery. Okay, let's dive into this roadmap. We've got 6 key areas to hit today: demystifying the hologram, the science of light, types of holograms, real-world applications, holograms versus augmented reality, and finally, the holographic future.
All right, up first, Section 1, Demystifying the Hologram, the true definition. So let's strip away the Hollywood myths and look at the actual physics sitting right in front of us. A hologram is essentially a virtual 3D representation of an object, displayed using light. But the real secret? It's right there in the name. The word comes from the Greek holos, which means whole, and graphen, meaning to write. So it quite literally means to write the whole picture. And unlike a standard flat image, a hologram reproduces the entire scattered light field. This means that as you physically move your head around a true hologram, your perspective of the object actually changes, exactly as if the real physical object were sitting right there on the desk.
Now, what's really interesting about this is when you compare it to something we use every single day, like standard photography. A photograph only records the intensity or the brightness of light. And, well, that's why it's a flat, 2D picture. But a hologram? It captures the intensity plus the phase of the light waves. Phase just refers to the actual position of the wave peaks in space. And capturing that phase, that is the absolute aha moment. It's that extra layer of physical data that brings the lifelike, 3-dimensional magic into existence. But how exactly do we capture that phase?
That brings us right to Section 2, the science of light, and how the magic actually works.
I know the word physics can sound a bit intimidating, but I promise the mechanics behind this trick of the trade are incredibly elegant and easy to grasp. It all boils down to 2 foundational principles of light waves: interference and diffraction. Think of interference like dropping 2 pebbles into a pond. When those ripples meet, they overlap, right? Sometimes the peaks align perfectly and reinforce each other. That's constructive interference. Other times they cancel each other out, which is destructive interference. This creates a really complex pattern. Diffraction, on the other hand, is just what happens when those light waves bend around obstacles. So a hologram is essentially a microscopic recording of that intricate interference pattern. When you shine a light on it later, the pattern diffracts or bends the light to perfectly recreate the original 3D image.
Let's move to the actual process and see how this builds step by step. There are basically 3 steps to holography. Step 1, you take a laser, which gives you a single, pure wavelength of light, and you split it into 2 beams. One is called the object beam because it bounces off the thing you're trying to record. The other is the reference beam, and that one goes straight to the film. Step 2, these 2 beams literally crash into each other on the recording medium, creating that complex interference pattern we just talked about. And finally, step 3, reconstruction. You rebuild that 3D wavefront by shining a reference beam back onto the recorded pattern, and boom, your eye perceives this exact recreation of the light waves as a real 3D object.
Moving on to Section 3, types of holograms: transmission, reflection, and beyond.
So, that foundational process can actually be applied in a few different ways. Let's concisely summarize the main varieties you're going to encounter out there. First, you've got transmission holograms. These are viewed by shining a laser through the back of the film, and they are known for incredible, highly precise detail. Then you have reflection holograms. These are viewed by bouncing standard white light right off the front. And these are the ones you interact with daily, like that little security image on your credit card. Beyond those, we have hybrids, and then incredibly computer-generated holograms, or CGH. This is where digital algorithms literally simulate the physical interference pattern of objects that don't even exist in the real world. No way, right? It's amazing.
Which leads us perfectly into Section 4, real-world applications, moving beyond the lab.
Holography has moved so far beyond just being a Nobel Prize-winning concept stuck in a laboratory, it's actively reshaping our everyday world. Honestly, I am absolutely fascinated by its impact on healthcare. Today, surgeons are interacting with 3D holographic models of a patient's exact anatomy so they can plan out a complex operation before they ever make an incision. That's a real game changer. In medical education, students can explore these high-detail holographic museums of the brain or the eye, which removes the need for physical cadavers. And in telemedicine, Specialists can project as lifelike 3D structures to collaborate remotely in ways a flat 2D screen simply cannot match.
But hey, it's not just the doctors having all the fun. In industry and our daily lives, holograms are our frontline defense against forgery. They secure our passports, our driver's licenses, and our banknotes. If you drive a modern car or fly an aircraft, you might actually be using a head-up display or a HUD. These use holography to project critical data, like your speed and navigation, directly into your line of sight. It keeps your eyes safely on the road, where they belong. Even the retail sector is getting in on the action, with immersive holographic displays that let you view products from literally all angles before you ever open the box.
All right, on to Section 5, Holograms versus Augmented Reality, clearing up the confusion. So, with all these applications popping up everywhere, we really need to clear up a major public misconception. People throw these terms around interchangeably all the time, but they are fundamentally different technologies. So the crucial point is understanding their nature and how we view them. A true hologram is a freestanding object of physical light that exists in physical space, created by actual interference and diffraction, and you can view it with your naked eye from any angle. Augmented reality, though, that's just a digital layer superimposed on a view of the real world. It requires a device, like your smartphone screen or a bulky headset, to see. The AR image only exists within the confines of that specific display. It's not actually out in the physical space with you.
And this brilliantly illustrates that foundational difference, taken straight from our source. A hologram is an object made of light, while augmented reality is a digital layer painted onto the canvas of our world. I love that framing. Definitely keep that distinction in the back of your mind the next time you hear a tech company pitching their shiny new headset.
And that brings us to our final section, Section 6, the holographic future, what comes next?
So what does come next as this technology evolves? Honestly, the future detailed here is thrilling. Historically, the biggest barrier to holograms has been the need for those bulky, expensive lasers. But researchers are figuring out how to use the OLED screens already built into your smartphone, combined with these ultra-thin, engineered flat optics called metasurfaces, to create holograms. They are literally bringing true 3D displays right to the palm of your hand. Furthermore, injecting holography into next-generation AR and VR will finally provide natural 3D depth cues, which completely eliminates that awful eye strain that plagues current headsets. And, of course, artificial intelligence is entering the chat. AI-driven holography algorithms are now generating real-time, high-quality images for these crazy, futuristic holographic portals. We've definitely covered a lot of ground today, all the way from ancient Greek definitions up to AI-powered portals. But I want to leave you with this really profound concluding thought from the Ferris Solution Guide. The next time you look at that little reflective security sticker on your credit card, I want you to realize you aren't just looking at some neat parlor trick. You are looking at a tiny piece of the universe captured in light. You are looking at the literal, physical collision of light waves, completely frozen in time and space, just waiting for a beam of light to wake it all back up into 3 dimensions.
If we can capture a tiny piece of the universe in light today, how on earth will we interact with the digital world tomorrow, when reality and projection become entirely indistinguishable? It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? For more, visit our website, Ferris Solution.